Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
Hello and welcome to Afro Space. This is a show where we profile everything that's African. We talk what's happening on the continent in terms of what's happening in business space, on the political space, as well as profile what's happening with our cultural and entertainment across the continent. My name is Nyasha Grace and I'm joined by my co-host, that's Adetunji Omotala. On this program today, we're going to be talking to someone who's very special, a Cameroonian, a multilingual lady who's an entrepreneur. Her name is Amal Chauke. And Amal, it's such an honor to have you on Afro Space this afternoon. And perhaps you could just introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do.
Thank you for inviting me. And let me go. I'm a freelance translator interpreter. I've been working for 6 years as a translator. I'm also a fashion designer. I own my trademark. I launched my fashion line on December last year. And I work with youth in my community, and I also work for an NGO as I'm in charge of communication for an NGO who works with orphans and widows. So I'm also a consultant in public relations. Yeah. That's
okay.
Quick
that
profile.
Is a very, very powerful profile you have there, Mel. You seem to be, you have your hands in many pies. But let me start first by asking you, you speak German, you speak English, you speak French, you also speak a number of Cameroonian languages. Now tell us about your multilingualism and how you were able to achieve this. I mean, we know that Cameroon used to be a German territory as well, parts of it British territory, and also a large section is French speaking. But how have you been able to achieve this multilingualism?
First of all, I speak 6 languages for now because I'm learning Russian. So I speak French, English, German, Mandarin, Chinese. Pidgin English and my native language, my mother tongue. So I was born and bred in the English part of Cameroon. So there are 2 Cameroon, as you said, divided into 2 language regions. So we have 2 language regions and the others are French-speaking parts. So I was born and bred in the English-speaking part, though my family, my father and my mother are from the French-speaking part. I'm 100% from the French-speaking part of the country, originated. So I was born in Bamenda, in the Northwest province region. And at home, we speak French and the mother tongue. And out of the house, I'll speak when I go to the store, for example, to the shop or to the market, I will speak Pidgin English. And before even going to school, starting school at 3 years or 4 years, I knew already how to speak French, a little bit from home, my mother tongue from home, and Pidgin English also. Yeah. So I went to school, acquired knowledge in English. I learned English and French, but I went to the French. I followed the French speaking education system. So I went to school in French, but in Cameroon, English is compulsory in every every classes that you go, you have to learn. They teach English, whether you are in the French education system or the English. In the English education system, they will teach you French. So I learned French, English in school, and then German. I started secondary school is compulsory in the French system education. You have Spanish and German at the third year of secondary school. So you have to choose between Spanish and German. So I chose German, and I did German for 5 years in secondary school. After that, I went to the university and I studied trilingual letters, French, English, and German. So after the bachelor, I got my bachelor in French, English, and German trilingual letters from the University of Chang. I went to Yaoundé, capital, where University of Yaoundé, where I studied translation and interpretation. And while I was doing my master's in translation, I wanted to learn another language, another official language, foreign language. So I went to the Russian embassy because they are given a training in Russian language. But during that period, it wasn't available. They had some little problem with the courses there. So I had to go to the Confucius Institute where they teach Chinese, because Cameroon has an agreement with China, and there are some institutes here in Cameroon where they teach the Chinese language. So I went to Confucius Institute and I learned Chinese there. I did 2 years of Chinese, and then I went to China for 6 years. For 6 months. Sorry, for 6 months. So that's how I acquired my languages, the languages I speak today. So I speak French, English, German, Mandarin, Pidgin English, and my mother tongue.
Yeah, I mean, that's really impressive, Amal. And I mean, the question we have is, what do you think is the relevance for Africans to actually get to learn our own African languages? You obviously have grown to learn to speak foreign languages, and from your profile, it seems that, you know, it's giving you a lot of benefits in terms of your career. You've been able to interpret documents for very important companies like Amazon. And the question is, for us as Africans, should we be taking interest in our own African languages, and to what benefits would we do that for?
African language, first of all, is very important in all the aspects, because, for example, when for me, when people things that really bring people together for me is language, religion, and sometimes maybe skin color. So it's very important for Africans to speak not only the African languages, but also the foreign languages, because when you learn a language, you also learn about the culture of the language. And when you learn about the culture of the language, you know more about the person you have in front of you. And when you know more about the person you have in front of you, it's easy for you to interact, to understand yourself, and to do business. Okay, for example, if I spoke Yoruba, and I spoke Yoruba, and I speak with Adetunji, for example. I know Yoruba is his language. If I meet him, and then we speak in Yoruba instead of English or Pidgin English, because those are foreign language, I think he will feel more, the communication and the interaction will be more, how can I put it, will be more, he will be more happier, he'll be more happier, for that we should speak in his language. You know, the Chinese, there are many Chinese here, Chinese companies here in Cameroon. That's another example. There are many Chinese companies here in Cameroon, and those who are into mining, most of them, they learn the national languages so that they could interact directly with the local population. And when you interact directly with the local population, it makes them to feel good, and the business is easier to negotiate. The way it's easier for them to negotiate stuff. And for me, language is very, very, very important. Language is the center of my career. It's at the center of my career. And knowing a language is an advantage, because I speak. We can speak French. If we speak, we both speak English, and if I have the advantage that if because I speak English, for example, I'm invited here on your platform. If I spoke only French, for example, without speaking English, I'm not sure I will have this opportunity. I won't be here now speaking with you. And in language breaks many barriers. It opens many barriers. It opens everyone to the world. It opens you to the world. So there's there's something that I've noticed is that African parents don't teach their languages to their children anymore, their native languages. So, and it's not a good thing, because there are some realities that only the native language, only the local language can express. There are some things that I can't say in French or in English, but I can really express it in my mother tongue. And it's sure I'm a translator or interpreter, but even if I translate and interpret, it's not the same. It doesn't have the same value or the same meaning that we have in the mother tongue and in my mother tongue. So it's important for Africans to know their languages, to learn foreign languages, to learn their own languages, because it opens you to the world.
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to pose this question to you. Cameroon is a country like Nigeria, like Senegal, like many other African countries like Congo, that has been independent for the last 60 years. And we know that Cameroon is quite sizable. It's a very rich country, resource rich. You guys have oil. You also were able to grab Bakassi from Nigeria. We used to fight over Bakassi. So you guys have oil as well, very rich country in oil. But for you, can you share with our viewers what your journey has been, your entrepreneurial journey? As you said earlier in the introduction that you are also into fashion. Just give us a short picture of what you're, in a short, not too expanded, what your journey has been as an entrepreneur, as a woman entrepreneur in Cameroon.
Entrepreneurship in Cameroon is not easy. It's not easy at all, and as a woman, it's more difficult, because wherever you go, when you want to start the business, because you have to go through the legal procedure. Where you go, especially for women, the men will be trying to okay, we can settle, because the procedure is not easy. First of all, it's not easy. It's a very long and stressful procedure. You have to be perseverant to persevere to get to it. And when you go through the process, there are many people who try to discourage you, because the system is not easy. It's not easy at all. So you have to believe in what you do. And I went through many proposals from I got many proposals from men when I wanted to create my own company, and they were like asking me to give them something in return, and then they will easy up the procedure for me. So I created my own after 6 months. Normally the procedure is like 2 months, 3. But
what did they want in return? Because we have to understand what you mean by
sexual or physical,
okay.
well, sexual or physical, yeah, something in return. Oh, there are also people who ask clearly, naturally we come and then they say, give me this amount of money and then I will help you do that. Also, okay, so it took me 6 months to get there. Something that is done in because it's a small size company, so normally it doesn't take long. So, but it took me 6 months because I had an encounter with someone working at the taxation, and then it was we had to exchange. It was not good. In fact, I raised up my voice because I was really shocked. Who helped me push through my procedure, and I finally got my authorization. Yeah. So it's the landscape. Yeah, entrepreneurship landscape in Cameroon is not easy, but you have to be perseverant and hardworking, and then you succeed. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are the opportunities for small businesses in Cameroon? Are there lots of success stories of people who have come in as startups and greenfield businesses and have actually prospered to grow their businesses? Is that something that is happening in Cameroon?
Yeah, there are many success. There are many success stories, but not as much as it could have been. There are many opportunities, many potential, but the potential is not being encouraged by the system, by the government, and so many people get discouraged. Okay, but there are many success stories. There are success stories. I cannot say many because there could have been more, much more. But there are some success stories. People try doing and being successful in what they are doing. But I think there could have been more testimonies, more experiences, more successes if the government or the system allowed the youth to do what they had to do. For example, the people from the diaspora, they don't invest a lot in our country, in the country, because anytime they started or they wanted to start something, when they come here, they see how the system works, they see the procedures, they see it's not encouraging at all. So people don't, the guys are, people don't invest more. And so the success stories here in Cameroon are not as much as it could have been. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, look, I've got still on the business side of things. We know about MTN in Cameroon. We know about the likes of your successful Cameroonians like Achaleke, who works for McKinsey, has been there for quite some time. As I said earlier, we know that there's a nexus of Cameroon to Nigeria. Nigeria has 200 million people. I know that there are challenges in the country with what is going on in the English-speaking part. Well, can you tell us from your vantage point? We know that you set up this beautiful fashion company. I see that you're wearing one of your products. Yeah. Now, how has that been going for you? I mean, are you looking to also expand into the rest of Africa? I mean, what is the opportunity in Cameroon that you are pursuing with your brand, for example?
Of course, I would love to to sell my products out of Cameroon. I would love to know I would love my products to be on other markets than in Cameroon than the Cameroonian market. But right now, I have been I've been working with Michael from Westboro to see how I can enter into the South African market. Who knows? So I think you're talking about the intra-African trade. Intra-African trade is the key to sustainable development in Africa, and I would love to have more products, African products, on the Cameroonian market, and Cameroonian products on the other African markets. But right now, the governments, even only in the region, Central Africa region, it's not easy. The exchange rate and exportation rate is not that easy because, for example, the Equatorial Guinea, they locked their border recently because they had some misunderstandings between two police guards from both sides. So, and the president just said they should lock the borders, and it has been locked for weeks now, and they're now trying to resolve the problem and all this stuff. So even only between the Central African region, it's not easy because every government, I don't even know what they are doing that, why they are doing that, but there are many restrictions. For example, for me to go to Equatorial Guinea, I have to apply for a visa, for example. It's not far from here. To go to Congo, I have to apply for a visa. We are in the same region, but so it's complicated. I don't know what our governments are doing. Why it's so long and so difficult for them to open the borders and the markets. I would love my products to be out of Cameroon. I would love to consume more African products. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Tunji. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I think, Amal, we want to thank you so much for coming onto AfroSpace and giving us a glimpse into Cameroon, specifically small businesses and how small businesses are faring, and understanding the business environment, the opportunities there, as well as obviously the interest that you have, and I'm sure a whole lot more Cameroonians have, to venture into other African markets. And we certainly look forward to seeing what Africa will do in terms of being able to accommodate intra-African trade across the continent. Tunji.
Yeah, so, well, thank you so much, Amel, for expanding our knowledge of Africa. I know that Equatorial Guinea, they speak Spanish. I know that Congo, your neighbor, speaks French. And you're able to speak those languages, so maybe you have a competitive advantage, even though you're Cameroonian, and you also speak English that is spoken by another big neighbor, Nigeria. So I think Africa is your oyster. So from us at AfroSpace, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll say Odabo, Kachifo, Segobe.